Hello and welcome back to my channel. We rejoin the characters on the perpetual day 7 holy day, which never seems to end. I've had a few detours down the churn and in mechanic route. I, 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 I was going to make an apology, but I don't think I should apologise for that, because that was part of the overall scheme of things, that I would show you some of my mechanics that are here to aid. And it was just a necessary process to just get you up to speed with how I run my game, and how I try to, at this stage of the campaign, almost expand it. So I've got a solid platform, which is my Green Dragon Inn. I want to use that as a springboard to other things, more adventures, expand the setting, generate more NPCs, have some more parties on the go. There's also the kind of the unspoken this topic of what would happen to your what would happen, Brian, if your player characters all die, and you need some form of succession planning. So by having this in, it's hopefully going to be a breeding ground of new talent and interesting player characters, that not only we could say, well, we've got Dagobert, Lindris and Tristan, who we've all become rather attached to as our party A, but we might have a party B. We already have one. We're not quite sure whether we fully endorse the complexion of that just now because of Baldur, but maybe even Baldur might come round to us in the end. And then what about party C, party D, party E? It goes on. So I think by showing you that mechanic, this is going to be a method of generating that type of succession planning, and also just expanding the campaign in a kind of natural, organic way, not contrived. Suddenly, out of nowhere comes this new band of adventurers that have just ready formed. Whereas we'll have some sort of input into that in the Green Dragon, with maybe some possible interactions. Now, on the actual the characters themselves, they've got to make a decision on their potion of longevity. So the view is that on the longevity potion, they will probably sell that. And I think just at the end of Holy Day, when they're sitting back in the Green Dragon, it's very, because it's a somber a religious day. There's no raucous entertainment in Green Dragon. It's a last night for Rowena. She's got her harp out, gentle harp music. It's very ambient. It's you can almost think of Enya singing there, that type of stuff. It's very soothing and respectful of the deities that are being worshipped today. The clerics they've all returned to their temples. They've had their tithes. They've signed off their lists. They're checking all the details. They're looking up any potential deviancy and having notes. Let's discuss that in our morning meeting on Monday. Just whether you've spotted any strange behaviour or untoward activities. So that's going to be it's always an exciting, the Monday meeting, just as, what are we uncovered type thing. And also, counting the exchequer as well. What are we taking as a tithe from these labourers and peasants. So we are going to sell our potion, and we will not do that until, well, the view is, let's maybe just stand back a bit. The characters have come, they're itching to go out again. They want to go on a delve back to Dunmorna. They think there's a lot more possibilities there. They view that they haven't got enough treasure and experience to invest in training, so they need one final push to get them over that hump. They think if they can sell their longevity potion when they return, and also they've got the sword +2, the Dark Slayer. That's what it's called, Dark Slayer. Lindris has talked Dagobert around to the fact that wouldn't it be a good idea to use that in their next delve, and have it as their additional bit of hardware to exploit its advantages. So it gets +2 in attack and +2 damage. It lights up in dark rooms. There's a lot going for it. It's maybe a little bit of a wobble in Lindris's hands, but he assures Dagobert that he can handle it, and it's only for it's like one appearance only type thing. And Dagobert seems to be quite satisfied with that. He doesn't condone a blade like that, a chaotic neutral blade, being used in the name of Bane, so he will put a disclaimer on that, and he'll just say, well, that's up to you, Lindris, how you want to do that. So there is an agreement there that they will use it in this adventure, and then they will put it forward, probably with Thudabert's Emporium, to see whether he has a ready market for it. Okay. The other thing I wanted to do just before we set out is to think a bit about the entertainers, and when we actually come down to do their evening sessions. And I thought that would be quite entertaining. No pun intended. That's using the term twice. But I thought it would be quite interesting for us to find a bit more about these individuals. Maybe their race and their sex, their name. Maybe the lead singer, maybe he's got a bit of personality. He's a bit of kind of maybe not a Johnny Rotten type character, but that type of thing. Just to draw out something. They might even have the possibility. I'm going to have a possibility that their first night, to get them up over the hump, Rowena has agreed to hang on, and they'll do almost like maybe like a Human League type thing where she's singing and singing in harmony with the lute player. That kind of thing. So that's going to be an interesting little thing we can do on the Monday night, and then we'll have entertainment all week. So we don't have to do this, but if the characters are in the Green Dragon, say on Wednesday night, and we've got this arrival of this adventure, it'd be nice to maybe have a bit of setup with the Four Seasons and see what they've got to sing, and see what the performance metric is telling us about the people in the place. Now, talking about the people in the place, I am minded to go back to, and I want to try and bring everything together in this Green Dragon Inn, and using this mechanic of the basically this big matrix type thing, and I want this to pull everything I've done together onto one sheet that we can score down all the information that we need, and also into my big file. And when if you cast your mind back to episode 2, where I generated the setting, and I treated the setting, the starting village, as if it was a non-player character, and viewing the culture of the town or the village could be generated by using all the statistics or all the attributes or traits in the Dungeon Master's Guide. And this is another discovery. This new version I've got, lo and behold, I was just looking towards the end. What does it have at the end? But all those interesting facts tables that I've been digging. I used to dig through my old version, and they're all at the end. And also it's got these things that are very useful because we use them in any interaction encounter with an NPC. It's got height and weight tables. Probably it doesn't have the age ones, which would be quite nice. Encounter in the table of the month. The most important table that we use, the encounter reactions, and it's bang here. So that's good, it comes to hand. And then we've got that encumbrance stuff that we're talking about. But I thought that was great, that it's right at the end of the book, and that's here. But just I was going to read it off piece there, but what I was talking about was we use these tables to determine what the overall population was. And if you bumped into a typical resident, this is what the kind of behavior that they would exhibit. So remember in for Marchton, we had these particular attributes listed, and we looked at disposition, materialism, honesty, energy, and piety. And we thought they're probably the key ones to determine what your citizenry are like. If you bumped into a typical citizen, this is how they would behave. And I've been thinking how to bring that fully into the campaign, because if you think about it, we haven't really met any of the citizens. Well, not many. Most of our encounters or our interactions have been within fleshed out NPCs that have a personality and they have traits. But there have been a few citizens that we have bumped into. There's Garde. Remember Garde from the castle, the keep? And he showed a bit of, maybe a bit snippy with us at the end, but he was very patient and whatever. But we didn't. He was like the security guard on the Star Trek. He didn't really have much of a personality. But if you think about it, he would probably reflect some of these traits, and I'd like to bring that through in the role playing. And then we had Boy 1 and Boy 2. I know they were a bit faceless, but there are other citizens that existed, and also the gate guards, the guards on the gate. And he was always quite friendly and maybe a wee bit cheeky sometimes. And I was thinking, what would be a useful way of just thinking about what the general person in the street is like, and maybe I go back to something like a stereotype. And I thought, well, let's have a look at what these traits are like. So we've got disposition, easygoing. So I thought, well, maybe that could be calm under pressure, that type of thing. They're aesthetic. They're not ostentatious. They're quite simple living. Scrupulous honesty, normal energy, and they've got high piety, which you'd maybe expect in a frontier zone, and they're kind of charged crusaders. But I thought generally that I thought the word phlegmatic came to mind, and that is often described about what British people are like. They are kind of unemotional, but kind of stolidly calm under pressure. And we've almost got this mug that we have, this keep what's it, something, keep calm, and I can't remember. I can't even remember what it is now. Keep calm and carry on, or something. It's got on a mug, and that's kind of like our it's almost like a meme about what British people are like. But I thought maybe I would just think of and it'd be useful for me because obviously I'm British, and some of these guys are showing a bit of wit, of a kind of Monty Python kind of humour and that sort of thing. And the British people are noted for their sense of humour, and their kind of view about if they come up against adversity, they just kind of get on with it, and they might have a bit of a moan about it, but they still get on. And they think, oh well, okay, well, this is terrible what's happening to me, but well, maybe I'll just get on with it and just see what happens. So might have that kind of disposition, and that's fully entrenched in the other village, Hawksmere, where it's even more stoic. So I thought maybe that's a useful thing, racial stereotype, which can be used in a kind of a useful way. And I think racial stereotypes get a lot of hammering just now, because you're not really supposed to stereotype different cultures and whatever it's demeaning. And I suppose if you used it in the extreme, but as part of a kind of a mechanic that I'm using, I'm not using it in any kind of negative way or whatever. It's just a useful way of kind of summing up an area. So if you think about some of the citizens in this, just like you're watching a Monty Python film, and they're all behaving like the extras, the people in the background in a Monty Python film. Maybe not as ridiculous as them, but they've got the same kind of vibe, if you see what I mean. And I want to bring these type of things into the game. So if we do have any more village encounters with actual people, not residents of the Green Dragon, but people that live in the town, um, these will exhibit these traits. Okay, and I'm not going to go on about this other thing about where the phlegmatic came from, because that's a story for another time. But it's to do with I'll quickly give you a quick synopsis. There is the U.S. Department of Defense back in the late 20s, early 30s, were saw themselves in a kind of perilous world. There was a lot of potential opponents. You had the Soviet Union, you had the rise of Nazi Germany, you had Imperial Japan, and then there were other forces. There was still the British Empire. There was a French Empire. There was still a Spanish Empire to an extent. And what they did was they divided all the different nationalities and thought, well, what would happen if we were at war with one of these on an individual basis, and we'll give them all a colour. So they had things like black was Germany, Nazi Germany, yellow was Imperial Japan, brown was, I think, was Soviet Union. It wasn't red, and red. This, and you're not going to believe this. They had the British Empire as one of their opponents, and they thought, well, there's a potential that we might be in conflict with the British Empire. And during the 30s, our relations between our two countries wasn't fantastic, and it's all this kind of wartime union and whatever. In the 30s, there was quite a bit of rivalry, and it tended to be things like to do with our naval power. So, Britain was the predominant naval power, but the Americans wanted to become the supreme power with their aircraft carrier fleets and that kind of development. So there was a bit of rivalry there. And what the Americans did was they came up with a plan of, if we went to war with the British Empire for any reason, this is how we would fight them and potentially defeat them. So they had a plan to invade Canada, blockade Canada, and then fight the British fleet out in the Atlantic. And this is real stuff. This was called War Plan Red. And I saw a documentary on it, which was quite fascinating, about how they were going to invade, a three-pronged invasion into Canada. And then it would almost be like a World War I situation. Well, that's what they wanted to try and avoid. But I actually took this idea, it must be about 5-10 years ago, and created my own little wargaming simulation of it, and played some battles, and posited this kind of almost alternative future or alternative past where Britain and America were in combat in Canada, and when they were developing all their tanks in advance. So like the Sherman was invented in 1939 and that sort of stuff. So you start to spin. And I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but maybe I can talk about this another time. But the main thing was that they said one of the key things they had to do was called Know Your Enemy, and the main thing that they had as a footnote about British people and British soldiers was this word phlegmatic, and they said they aren't the most emotional people. But when they get riled, they really get a bit angry about things, and they're very stubborn, and they will stay calm under pressure and just get on with things. They won't flap, or they won't get emotional. They won't get upset. They'll just not maybe stoicism, maybe it's a strong word, but they will fight on. So they're very difficult opponents, and you have to think of a way to defeat that. So in a long-winded way, that's the kind of thing that I want to bring in to that. And I'm not sure whether I've explained that very well, but I thought it was quite a nice little story, because you wouldn't think that our two countries, America and Britain, would even think of hostilities. Obviously, we had the big fallout back in 1770s, but after that, we've very rarely come to head. War of 1812 being an exception. Okay, I won't talk any more about conflict between the two major democracies in the West. I will carry on with, yes, and the other thing I wanted to add in was, we were talking about our threads. And I was adding on to my threads. I'll just find where that is. I wish I'm gonna, as I say the other day, I'm definitely going to get an indexing system that political, social. Where is my threads? Where's it further up front? This is where you can go away and you can make a nice cup of tea or a cup of coffee. Here we go, campaign threads. Yes, finally. I thought I'll add on we added on catacombs in the mountain and Seawards Keep, which are all very exciting, and that was something that was hidden. And then the other one I thought I want to push is this pentagram conspiracy, and I'm going to call it a pentagon, and I thought that doesn't really sound right. A pentagram is maybe, it's more kind of mystical and maybe it's kind of witchcrafty type thing, and I would like to progress that and get confirmation and development on that. So that is being added in as one of our threads. What else? Yeah, the one last thing before we set off on our travels is that, remember Party B in here? And we had an original view on them as being, there might have been a little bit of dissension. So I would still want to keep that in the air. And I would probably have like little notes down here where I could put Party B, dissension, and we've got our reputation as buoyed, reputation improved in their eyes. All the kind of good stuff that we've been doing in Dunmorna is starting to filter through to the rest of the world, and the green dragon being basically the center of our universe just now. This is where it's all bubbling away, all the rumor and speculation about what we actually got out of the dungeon. And then remember Jasper's advice, maybe just don't want to blow your own trumpet too much, and keep a lower profile. Okay, good. I think I got through all my stuff that I wanted to do before we get into the end of day 7. We can put our folder away. We can put a line in the sand on day 7. We're on to day 8. The characters rise at 7. This is Monday. So 7 o'clock we'll get up. What we'll do is we'll do a quick weather check on a D6. Get my dice up. Weather check, D6. Let's see what we get for weather. Oh, we get some, is that the strong winds again? 2, that's something different, isn't it? So this might be pertinent to our adventure. Regeneration. Weather, I'm sure, is at the front. Is it? Yes, we go. 2 is in March, rain and strong winds. So, rain after it. So this is the potential weather. So I would say that there's a 1 in 6 chance that we start getting rain and strong winds. So that's a pretty nasty day. So we wake up and there's really quite dark clouds, and the wind is maybe starting to pick up. So if we roll a 1 again, this potential weather will happen right at the start, at dawn when we get up. So let's do a 1 in 6. So no. So the potential weather rumbles on. So I will put rain and strong winds. As the weather, as potential, P, and we do checks for these on these occasions. Okay, I'll just get my dice tray over because we are going to be using the dice tray because we're out adventuring now. So the dice tray needs to be employed as a key tool of an adventurer's Adventurous Toolkit. So the regularity of these things are, we check in the morning, so that's our morning one. Maybe is it pre-dawn? Dawn I reckon is about 6 o'clock. So I would say that was our morning check. So we'll have to have one at noon, one at evening, and if we're still out at night time, we'll do one. So we've probably got another 2 checks on potential weather. So it looks threatening this morning, and there's maybe a breeze, but it hasn't developed into strong winds yet. So no more on the weather forecast. Let's go on to what else we need to do. So the characters, they have their breakfast. They say to Fredegar, right, we're interested in venturing out again today. And he says, well, okay, do you need any provisions and stuff? And I said, well, we've still got some of our iron rations left, and we haven't actually gone into them in any with it, to any great extent, because we haven't been out overnight. We'll refill our water skins and make sure that we've got those full. What about the iron rations? Do you think they need to be replenished? And he says, well, iron rations, they will last you a month or so, so I don't think you need to replace them. Also, just thinking about the mechanics of what the adventurers do with their equipment and the weapons and whatever. And I thought, well, what would the adventurers? They're obviously not going to walk around the Green Dragon Inn with all their stuff on, all their armor and they have their swords and bows and things. What they will do is they'll put them into, I thought, not the strong room that they put all their treasure, but an anteroom that they have access to. And I thought for each individual adventurer, they might have access to almost like a raised cot that is a large kind of box almost that they can put in all their equipment and sort out, take their armor off and whatever. And when they are waking up in the morning, they have to have, not only do they have to have, the problems of what they do with the storage, which seems to be solved by having this box. They also have to be involved in the preparation. So they have to put their armor on. They have to, Lindris has to put his chainmail shirt on and adjust all his straps and whatever. Remember Aragorn in Helm's Deep, and he was putting on all his armor and stuff. And they did it quite quickly. And I thought, well, that's down to their training. So people like Lindris and Tristan are very adept at putting their armor on quickly and efficiently. They don't really need any help, although those services will probably be available from Fredegar's staff, that they would probably have a boy or a young boy that would probably help, almost like a squire type thing, to put on maybe more complicated pieces of armor, or make he could just run and make sure that things are available. They say they need some undergarments or that type of thing, just to make sure that everything kind of runs smoothly. So the characters are all doing this preparation. That's maybe taking about half an hour while they have their breakfast, quick breakfast. They head down to the gate. There's the obligatory gate guard. I was going to say being very British. He's probably moaning about the weather and saying, in fact, that's another British trait, is that we're always talking about the weather a lot. So there's going to be a lot of variation in the weather. So he's probably mentioned something about the weather. He says, oh, you better watch out today. I think, there's talk of it, rain and strong winds, from coming in from the west. That place over there, the Badlands, beyond Hawksmoor. There seems to be a storm brewing, and the characters maybe feel a bit of trepidation because they're venturing back to Dunmorna, and there's maybe all this terrible weather starting to come down. Maybe this is an omen that this might not be the day to be going out adventuring. But they kind of look at each other and think, well, the weather hasn't broken yet, and let's progress this adventure now. And they have the bloods getting up again. They're getting that enthusiasm that they had in the last stint. They're almost dying to get back to the adventuring and mapping out stuff and finding chambers and what the lost secrets are. So yes, so that is not a major concern. So I would say that I will get rid of this, and I will get my original. I will get the template that I use for my other adventures, and I have kept them here. So this is the information I have about the Palace of Dunmorna and all the different adventures that we have gone on. He says confidently, I did have it here. Oh, here we go. Yes, so there's adventure 1, that was day 3. This is day 4. And this was day 5, and we called that adventure, was that with the skeletons? I think it was, yes. So we called that adventure 2. So I'll just make a note of that, and that improves that, look at that. So we'll use this template to describe, we'll call this adventure 3, for want of a better. And sometimes I think it would be useful, as you see, we have gone on multiple delves now. Adventure 1 maybe had a recurrent thing. We went back to the Green Dragon overnight, then we went out the next day. And Adventure 2, I just thought it was a slightly different kind of thing, because we'd had a break in between where we'd done some interactions. So this is day 8. The weather is, potential weather is strong winds and rain. And we do the Marchton to the Rough Hex, which we reckon is 5 miles, and it's going to take 2 hours. So say we set off at, we leave at, we got up at 7, we managed to get everything ready. It's probably going to be 8 o'clock we leave, 8 o'clock, a little bit later than usual. We go, so I always think quite like looking at the map just to see exactly where we go. And in fact, we've had our interaction with the gate guy. He's talked about the weather, and we've been a bit apprehensive about it. We've left Marchton. We're heading down the military road. It's a stiff breeze in our faces. You know, maybe towards our back because it's coming in from the west, and there's maybe just a feeling of moisture in the air, this rain. We enter these low hills here. They're quite pleasant hills, you know. They're near the moorland. It's actually quite scenic. You know, there's the moors over here. There's this lovely lake, East Lake, which is maybe not noted as much for the trout as Long Lake, but it's still a very pleasant place. You know, maybe for boating or that sort of thing. It's got a river coming through that goes up to one of the northern areas. Maybe we could follow that river up at one stage and see what is up there. But in the meantime, we're walking through these hills here. Now, do we have an encounter check? Because we're doing it in the morning. Now, I don't think that is something that's going to happen. But it's best to be prepared. And let's just get to our relevant page that we look at. Yeah, here we go. So it is the hills, and it's morning, so it's not. And I was thinking about that. Maybe there is a small chance that there isn't an encounter, but I'm not going to deploy that just now. It just does seem that it's a bit strange that you don't do it at certain periods of the day. Maybe what I need to do is say, well, actually, if it says no, maybe there's a much reduced chance. But again, I don't really want to break the Dungeon Master's Guide. You know, I'm feeling that a lot of the things I'm doing already is in contrary, and you know, I'd rather follow the rules. And again, that was something I was going to mention. Remember on the rest periods that we had, and for the first few adventures, I had stated that I'd quite liked to suspend this rest period every hour. Because I thought maybe that's a bit over the top, and it doesn't reflect the fact that the characters have got so much adrenaline and their excitement. I think maybe that is due for a revision now, and I think the characters maybe have reached the point where They are more seasoned adventurers, and they're past maybe the initial thrill. And let's maybe reinstate the rest period after every hour, at the end of every hour, um, to make it a far more kind of sober kind of experience and reflect the effort. And I think that's what's struck me about all this dungeoneering over the last few days is the effort involved in mapping things out, how long it takes to do. I think that took about that was about 40 minutes to do that room. This is hard, painstaking, difficult work, and think of the conditions. Health and safety. You would throw the book at whoever employer would have this place. So it really is very severe conditions they're working under. So I think they really need to take that rest, and I think I'll just apply that and adhere. I return to the light of the Dungeon Master's Guide, and bow down to the wisdom of Gary Gygax, who was far more wise than I, by saying you should really have a rest period every hour, and also the rest period for the combat, which, even if it's very small and transitory, the psychological impact, the physical drain, is the thing that we're trying to simulate, and we need to kind of almost recharge our batteries after that. So that is a decision on that. Okay, so we get through the hills. We reach the plain, the lava plain of Dunmorna. It's a very dark and gusty kind of conditions that we're in. Clouds, very threatening black clouds. The smoke rising from the ashen waste that stretches before us. We locate the crevasse that we need to follow along. We follow I was going to say a well-trodden path. Well, we probably are familiar with this now. We can see a few landmarks that we recognize. We reach the fallen pillar that is our main signal point that we have reached the almost the entrance to the dungeon. We decide to go for the exit that we tried last time, which was the sinkhole. We think that's an easier thing to and get us into the dungeon nice and quickly. So we have we leave at 8. Let me just see if I can get back to my original note. Yeah, we leave at 8. We arrive. That takes us till 10 o'clock. Our tramp over to the palace is another 30 minutes, so that's 10:30. So if we actually start our time counter, time here, exploration phase, so we'll start our clock here, 10:30. So 10:30, we reach the sinkhole. We peer down the sinkhole. It's probably quite wet and slippery because it's been raining recently. So Tristan says you're going to have to be careful here. What I'll do is I'll lower the rope down and then I'll climb down after you. So he does that, and the characters go down carefully. They reach the top of the tower. He says, watch out for any loose flagstones. This is quite tricky underfoot. They locate the spiral staircase that takes us down the revealed tower. Again, we're very careful that we don't tread on anything that could loosen one of the stair tiles. We reach the staircase. The torch is lit by Dagobert. He's got plenty of oil available in his... So we don't have to really account for any of the torches yet. We haven't used the torches in anger, but we have been using the lantern to quite a great extent, and the lantern's proving a very... In fact, we might actually, on one of the next ones, is actually invest in one of these, a bullseye one, which is a more powerful lantern. And that it kind of stretches further. But for the time being, Dagobert with these lanterns producing a very good job. And remember, we've got Lindris as well with his magic sword. Now the magic sword, I think, has got is it something like 20 feet? Now if we look at this section on light, yeah, there we go. So I would say it's a magic longsword because remember it's a broadsword, 20-foot radius of illumination and infinite. And compare that to the lantern, which is 30 feet and 24 turns. So actually 24 turns, we are probably, yeah, we might be, I might have to do some accounting on that. I know we had some more flasks of oil that we have. So, and Dagobert, being a smart kind of guy, knows kind of how this burns. So I would say that, yeah, we might have gone through at least a flask of oil in this adventuring so far. So he's probably on to flask 2. So I think we left our flasks of oil. So I'll assume that he's already taken a flask as well. But Lindris, they think, well, shall we? We don't really need to draw the magic sword just now. Although we'll probably have that ready and prepared when we're actually moving into the actual catacombs. But for the time being, we'll rely on the lantern as the primary light source. Okay, right. I think they can take stock. They can think, well, what is our strategy here? You know, what are we going to do? We've got a lot of areas that we have already gone through. We've got all this. I've got all this information here that says what all the different levels are, what the rooms contain, what we have searched, if there's any secret doors. So I've got a wealth of information here. It's just a case of trying to revive the brain cells to try and remember exactly where we've been and where we wanted to go. So if we say we come down this staircase and gingerly come back into the room, this is room 11, which it was empty, and I remember that had the original NPC. Party B was here, and that's where we met them, and we had to come up with this scenario with a sinkhole. We'll sit down and we'll compose ourselves. A quick rest after our struggles down the sinkhole and down the staircase. And obviously we've had quite a strenuous journey over to here. We'll ready ourselves and take out the map and pore over it and say, right, okay, so where do you think we should go next? Now they have within their limited, so let's just look at it from just a general point of view, and try to remember what all the different opportunities were. Now remember, we had a sliding wall trap here. So this, and we couldn't work out. We found the trap, fortunately, and I had to use a bit of a mechanism to do that, but we couldn't disarm it. So as far as we are concerned, this passage that leads to we don't know is blocked off to us. So we can't go down here in the meantime. Now if there was a way that we could maybe block the sliding wall with some kind of obstacle, but would we be willing to take the risk? That is the question. And I think we've still got some options up our sleeve just now. There was this door here, which would lead to, we don't know, it looks like it might be a corridor, but it could be a staircase going down. You never know. There's this door here, which would probably lead into is constrained, but again, that could potentially be a staircase. You know, that's what these options could be, that things that are constrained by geography and size limitations might actually be conduits to other levels, either up or down. You know, we had that chimney going up one level. Maybe there's something in here that does the trick for that. And we have this door here, which we don't know what that would lead. If I had a slanted passage, maybe that would be, or maybe there's a long room or something. So we've got, what have we got up to? This is ruled out. This is a possibility. This is a possibility. We can go back up the chimney and explore level 0. Level 0 there. Sorry, I think I just knocked my camera. Make sure it's not squint. Okay. And then there was a lot of possibilities up here. This is where the skeletons were. So we might just want to short circuit everything and just get straight up to level 0. But let's see if there's any more plays on level 1. There is, if we use our spider senses again, there's a secret door that we haven't discovered yet there. Let's see, the secret door here that we haven't, spider senses haven't found. And then, of course, our old friends, the Sturges, chatting away. Maybe they can hear their amazing ears. And remember, the Sturges can get in and out of this complex because they've got this vaulted ceiling with shafts that go outside. Maybe they have already seen the characters tramp across this wildland and go, these interlopers are back again. We better be prepared. Or maybe not. You know, it depends what their kind of defense strategy is. But they could be either on high alert, or they just haven't noticed. And I suppose that's one of the things that you simulate with a surprise dice and whatever, whether the monster is surprised or not. And you can say that as a kind of like a backstory to why. Yeah, so I think if I was going to be someone that wanted to do a bit more exploration, I would say it might be better just to go up to level 0, or maybe try this. Okay, let's do a 1, 2, 3. We got up to level 0. Or would it be worth doing this beyond the door? This might be a quick win. It might be like a little room that we can do. Okay, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's the decision on that. So we're going to go up the chimney. We're going to go up to level 0. Okay, so we head down here. We can move quite fast. We do 90 feet in. What is it? 90 feet in 1 minute. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, 11, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I say about a minute or so. A couple of minutes. So that'll be 2 rounds to get there. So we'll do 1. This is our first hour turn. We've got 2 rounds to get to the chimney. Our view about the chimney was it was reasonably straightforward to get up. What we'll do is we'll get Tristan to climb up, use his thieving skills with an 85% to see whether he can get up with no problems. If it's not, he maybe has a bit of snagging we have to think about. So he gets a 91. Okay, so he just misses so he's probably going to have a slip. Now, I am going to do, let's see if the Dungeon Master's Guide has any information about what happens if you fail a climbing roll. So there is a bit here on thieves. Here we go, wall climbing. There's the chances of slipping and falling. Be certain to check round surfaces. Surfaces inclined away. Most dungeon walls will fall into fairly rough to rough categories. Some will be non-slippery. So is there any? No, there isn't any information about what happens if you fail it. Okay, is there anything in the player's handbook about this? Under thieves, the skill. And he's got such a high. He had such a high chance. I suppose we've just been assuming that he's going to do it. So here we go. Here's climbing walls. Climb walls was, he was 85% and he didn't get any racial modifiers. Climbing walls is attempted whenever needed and desired. It is assumed that the thief is successful until the midpoint of the climb. At that point, the dice are rolled to determine continued success. A score in excess of the adjusted base chance indicates the thief has slipped and fallen. Your referee will inform you of what amount of damage has been done from the fall. Success indicates that the safe ascent or descent has been accomplished. Note that in some cases, the third d10 will have to be rolled to determine the success or failure. So he's slipped and he's fallen. So that is going to be 30 feet up, and we've tested halfway up. So he's got up to about 15 feet, say, halfway up. So a 15-foot fall in meters is about, what is that, 3? No, that's about 5 meters. That's quite high. If he was a cat, he'd probably just land on his feet and he'd be fine. But he's a trained, nimble thief. Well, maybe not as nimble as you think. Let's do the 1d10 idea of what the severity is of the fall. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is the slip? Oh, he's really, maybe he's almost fallen backwards, and he's, yeah, that's it. He's completely lost his footing. He's maybe slipped on something, or maybe he's put his hand in a handhold and there's been some strange thing in there, maybe a bit kind of mushy, and he's gone, oh, and he's fallen backwards and he's going, oh, and the other characters, have to try and maybe soften his fall and see whether their reactions are good enough. So, and to mitigate, we'll do a mitigating factor. So, he is falling. He is falling from, he's gone up the chute, up the chimney. So Tristan, and it's a 10 fall, so it's a maximum magnitude. So I would say that would probably do some hefty damage on him. What is his hit points? This is not a very good start. Maybe we should have taken note of the weather this morning and said, the omens, the gods have spoken. You know, these weather conditions are not conducive to quality adventuring. You know, I might slip the next opportunity. So Tristan, he has he's got a very good dexterity. He hasn't got a great strength. So I would say that Tristan would probably be quite. The thing is, it's a dead weight that Lindris would be quite nimble in maybe. See, he would be good taking the fall. He'd probably be able to. But I don't know whether the other characters can really do anything to soften the fall, or even try to catch him, because they've not got anybody who's got like superhuman strength like Tristan. So let's see what his hit points are. And he's got very good hit points. He's got 9. So what's he gonna do? Maybe it's let's have a look at what the damage that we could do. And I don't think there is an official. I don't think there is any falling damage. Is there any? In the player's handbook. Has that got an index? No, it's the Dungeon Master's Guide. Let's have a look and see if there's anything for falling in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Now, I'd quite like to just examine all the possibilities, because you know, this, like anything in AD&D, it's probably got a rule somewhere, and I'm going to miss it and think, oh, I should have looked. I should have exhausted all the possible. Here we go. Oh, falling damage. Surprise, surprise. Now that's 105, so that means does that mean it's in the player's handbook if it's lowercase? I think it does. 105, falling damage. Let's have a look. Damage. Here we go. Ooh, bingo. Yeah. Now this is where I'm really showing off. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons at its best. It's got a rule for everything. If you dig hard, I could have just said, okay, I'll just work out something. It might not give me the idea that I want, because it might kill Tristan, but at least we've done it by the book. That's the main thing. Okay, falling damage. Falling into pits, from ledges, down shafts, yeah, that's what we're doing, down shafts, and so forth, will certainly cause damage unless the fall is broken. While such falls could break limbs and other bones, it is probable that your referee will simply use a hit point damage computation based on 1d6 for each 10 foot of distance falling to a maximum of 20d6 plus or minus adjustment for the surface fallen upon. This treatment gives the characters a better survival. Okay, now we said that the shaft was it was 30 feet. It was called a chimney, was it? I think it was a chimney. Is it a chimney? Oh, maybe that's not important just now. Chimney. Chimney up one level, so it's 30 feet. We check it halfway, so we check at 15. So he had the slip at 15 feet. So it's 1d6 for each 10 foot. So we have 1d6 for our first foot, 10 foot, and we'll have 1d3 for our next 5 feet. So we'll do a d6 of damage for poor old Tristan. Is he gonna land on his head or on his feet? So 2. Okay, so he gets 2 points of damage there, and then he has 1d3 for the other 5 feet. And he was got lucky. So that's 1. So in total, he has 3 hit points of damage. Whoa. So he has a nasty fall. Probably discount that 10 now because I actually found the system. That probably was just a good describer. That it actually, as far as Tristan was concerned, that was quite a nasty one because he fell badly, put it that way. And he fell almost like backwards. He managed to somehow right himself, maybe turn or whatever, and not land so badly. But he did still take a bit of a bruising. So his 9 hit points, and I will make a little note on our grand thing here. I will have hit points of party. I will have Tristan, and he has a hit point of 9. He's taken 3 points of damage, so he's down to 6. Okay, so it's not the end of the world, but maybe he's a bit phased by this. He's a bit shaken. The rest of the Dagobah said, "Are you okay, Tristan? You haven't broken anything, right?" And he said, "No, but I think when I put my hand in one of these handholds, or something I thought was a handhold, and it had something rather disgusting in it, not like an ectoplasm or anything, but just something that didn't sit too well. Maybe gave him a bit of a fright." He says, "I'll be really careful next time going up." And I said, "Well, give yourself a little bit of time." So I would say that operation in total, and especially if we're going to give Tristan a bit of grace on that, is going to take about a turn at least. So I think that's fair to do that, because otherwise, if I avoid all this shuffling around of papers, I'm going to take my Dunmorna stuff out, so we've got it to hand. But that's taken a turn. So they're back to square one again, because they haven't even got up the chimney, and Tristan's had a bit of a fall. He's taken 3 hit points of damage. I would quite like to maybe, I'm going to do a couple of videos today, and I think I'll take a break just now, because it's almost approaching the hour mark. And I've found that if you get a YouTube video up and it's under an hour, it makes quite a bit of difference. And also, it'd be quite nice to take a little break too. Tristan needs he needs a little bit of a rest, and I think he needs a bit of TLC from the other characters before he gets the confidence. So maybe not an auspicious start, but I think one of the good things of that little exercise, it showed that the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons system off a bit, because we managed to showcase the fact that there was a rule that covered that, and if you do enough digging and whatever, and I would say that if I played this non-stop for maybe a couple of months, I would know that, and it would just become part of my almost like, you know, the monk type character that I was trying to pretend to be, the master of the North Winds. I am the master of AD&D. I can apply any rule at any time in a balanced manner. I would have been able to think, oh yes, falling, this is what happens. You get halfway up, you do 1d10 per 10 feet, bang, you know, that would have been resolved in a few minutes rather than 10, 20 minutes. But I quite like the fact that we managed to show off AD&D First Edition to its full potential. Good. Okay, let's have a quick break just now, and we'll reconvene in level 1, trying to get to level 0 in the Lost Palace of Dunmorna, day 8. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.